Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you about a hunt today that was absolutely the weirdest experience that I've had with a harvested bear. And at the end of this video, I'm going to ask for your opinion on what do you think happened, because this is really weird. And I'm going to start at the beginning here. So this was in the Duck Mountains area of Manitoba, and it was about 10 years ago, and it was a fall bear hunt. So the opening day is the end of August, and I was out there on opening day, and I went out to this bait knowing I was going to see a lot of bears because I got tons of bears on trail camera. Just super huge amount of activity with black bears and chocolates and everything. And I just committed that I was not going to shoot a bear the first night. Their weather was beautiful, and I just wanted to spend some time in the tree stand and observe the bears, watch their interactions and the black bear behavior and the other animals. I'm not going to shoot a bear on the first night. I'm just going to enjoy a couple days of bear hunting before I fill my tag. Well, the action started right away, and bears were coming and going, and they were interacting, and just watching a lot of different bears and seeing them move around, and just really enjoying my time out there. And then there was a smallish bear that was on the bait. He was up on the barrel, and I had been seeing bears that, like, a bigger one would come and they would chase the other one around there, just running all over and stuff. Well, this smallish bear, when he was up on the barrel, all of a sudden he just got down on all fours, and instead of just racing off, he just kind of hunkered down and snuck out of there. And I'm like, holy cow, what's that all about? And then I turned, and here comes an absolute giant walking out of the bushes, and this was a really big bear. I'm looking at it going, this might be a Boone and Crockett head on him. This bear has everything. I mean, it's got a beautiful slick pelt, and it's a solid 500-pound bear. Am I going to be crazy enough to not shoot this bear? Well, I guess so, because I watched the bear for a little while, and I just decided I want to hunt for a few days. I want to spend some time in the woods, and I don't want to kill a bear the first night. So that bear walked off after a little while. Well, then other bears started coming and going again, and I'm really second guessing myself. I'm just like, man, oh man, that was a bear of a lifetime, and I passed it up. You know, I got to be nuts. Well, about an hour and a half later, this bear comes back, and at that point, I'm just looking at it going, holy cow. I mean, that's the biggest bodied bear I've ever shot. It might not be the biggest head, but it's got to be close. I have to shoot this bear. I might never have another opportunity like this again. And so the bear was up on the barrel, and I could see that he was moving his left leg forward, and I'm like, boy, I could put a arrow right in there even when he's up on the barrel like that. So the next time he put his left leg forward, I released the arrow. It hit perfect, exactly where I was aiming. I'm like, perfect, double lung shot. So the bear ran about 30 yards, and he was just out of sight. I could actually just kind of see some black through the bushes, so I knew he was just standing there for a minute, and then he disappeared. A lot of times these bigger bears, they don't just run until they fall over dead like deer do or like smaller bears do. So this bear had just ran 25, 30 yards and removed himself from the threat, I guess you'd say, and then he just started to walk. You could see the fletching of the arrow just buried into the bear's fur on its left side, and on its right side, the broadhead had just protruded through the skin, and this bear had stopped, and he had reached down with his mouth behind his right shoulder and just grabbed a hold of that broadhead and pulled that arrow all the way through with his mouth and dropped it on the ground right there. The arrow was laying there, and then there was a blood trail, and followed the blood trail for a little ways, and then I just thought, it's starting to get dark, and Tom, my outfitter, he's like, these really big ones are just so hard to kill. We should probably give him some time. And so we went back in the morning, and we found really good blood. And a lot of these big bears, like I said, they don't run, and so they're not using up a lot of oxygen to the brain. They're not using up a lot of energy, and they can just walk a long ways. Well, this bear walked over 400 yards through swamps, over logs. He walked and walked and walked, and we followed a pretty decent blood trail until we came to the bear where it looked like he had tried to climb over a downed tree and couldn't get over it, and he fell over backwards and landed on his back. And then something came along, and here's where it just gets really strange. His genitals were gone. Like something had bit him and tore him off of him, and he's just laying there on his back, and we're looking at it like, what the heck? Like, did maybe a subordinate bear do this as a way to show his dominance now that the bigger one's gone? Or, could it have been wolves, or what could have done that? And I honestly, I don't know the answer to that. It seems like it would probably been another bear, because if it was wolves, they would have ate the bear. That's pretty common for wolves to come across a dead bear. They just eat it. Would it have been a different kind of an animal? I don't know, but the way that it was torn off was just very, very strange. The shot was absolutely ideal. It went through both lungs and even nicked the heart and just sliced into the heart a little bit. So it was a perfect shot. We took all the meat that we could carry, and I took the front half of the skin and carried it out, and it was heavy. It was just, man, it was a huge bear. I'm looking for input on this. What do you guys think happened there? Let me hear your theories on this in the comment section. So thanks for watching this, and maybe we'll get some resolution from your comments. So we'll see you on the next video.